We are live. Who's ready to kill some Muslims right now and take back the freaking Holy Land?
Listen. So I think the reason why you chose this world from the beginning, you chose dunya, you choose this world, you don't choose God. You didn't choose God from the very beginning. You chose the people. People around you, fame, money, this is all the world. This world is temporary. So you chose the temporary life. You know, this exact same situation is going to happen to you again on the day of judgment when you go and ask Jesus Christ to help you from leaving the hellfire, and none can help you other than the sake of Allah.
No, none can help you except Jesus. Through the Father, you get him, you dumb Muslim. You get him. You get him through the Father. He is God. Jesus is God. He is part of the Trinity. The only one in the hellfire with you, there will be someone in the hellfire with you. It will be your forsaken Allah, your false God, your false idol, the Saturn you worship when you worship Satan and you worship those demons, little demonic little practices. You will, absolutely, you will be in the hellfire with Allah. You'll be in the hellfire with the rest of the demons, you dummy. No, Jesus is the only one that can save you. Through the Father, it goes to him. And if you deny him on his earth, you deny him, and he'll deny you in front of the Father like you are right now.
And you were Muslim. You were born with the blessing of being a Muslim.
You mean a curse? You think being born, believing a psyop, being born, believing this terrible thing, is a blessing? No, it's a curse.
Muslim, you changed it. And honestly, that's your path, and I respect everything that you decide to do. But I'm letting you know right now, the decision you made, you chose the world over God.
And you also chose a demon worship little religion over praising Christ. And you think you're better? Let's watch some more.
What is the last word in the Quran?
Bro.
If Islam were true, why would Jesus become famous?
I'm so shocked you're gonna speak or debunk it. Classic Muslim cope. Real. Come on, bro.
Islam forbids homosexuality as a practice, not as a feeling, because no one is. You can say someone is not in control of how they feel in some cases, and we accept that. So if someone feels in a certain way, then it's forbidden to act upon it. Now, Islam forbids this. It doesn't mean that if someone practices it, by the way, they become an ex-Muslim or that they leave Islam or they excommunicate. They're still within the fold. It's just seen as a major sin.
When you say
then why do you kill people for it? If it's not that bad and it's really just your sinning, then why do you guys kill gay people? Why do you kill gay people? We don't do that. We don't do that. We just tell them, that's wrong. You shouldn't be homosexual. You guys kill them. You absolutely hate them. You actually hate what they're doing. You guys, being a homosexual in all of these Muslim-run Arab countries is punishable by death. And you say that it's fine. It's just you're trying to play the Christian card when really you're a Muslim, and every Muslim-run country kills gays. And you somehow think that it's okay to be homosexual when you literally kill them and behead them. One crazy thing I was thinking of when I used to argue on Instagram comments and stuff, it's pretty cringe, but I was like, what the heck? Because one time I'm talking to this Muslim, I'm saying, yeah, maybe we shouldn't kill gays because we should bring them to the truth instead and get them out of that degeneracy. And then he says, no, we should kill them so it doesn't spread. And then I'm talking to some libtard the next day, and he's called he, she, it, they, who freaking knows, one of the billion of its made up genders, says that I'm homophobic when I literally just talked to a Muslim about why we shouldn't kill gay people. What if they think the Muslims that they defend all the time, this stupid little leftist? Like, that's crazy, bro. That's absolutely crazy.
major sin, or are there a number
It's a
of
hierarchy of sins.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where would that rank?
High, very high. Like Ibn al-Qayyim, one of the scholars of Islam, he says up there with murder.
So high that they kill you for it.
Something.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very.
But what about a man cheating on his wife or vice versa? That's a major sin as well.
Yeah. So if a man cheats on his wife, it's a major sin. Like
Yes.
on the same
Is
level
that
as
is that on the same level?
Yeah, 100%. Man, both.
There are things that in Islam that main people will not consider. Like, for example, usury, like interest, getting a loan from the bank.
Yes.
You know, things like that are seen as major sins on that kind of level as well. Islam forbids.
Oh, we need more Islam things to make fun of.
For a large part of my life, I've believed nothing. I haven't believed in the afterlife or heaven and hell. And my parents raised me as a Muslim for a good few years, and then I don't want to place blame or anything, but like I grew up in a quite atheist British society, and no God's. Everyone's saying it casually. God's not real. Look, science, Big Bang theory. Oh, religion's bad. Oh, Muslim's bad. Look, Muslim
it's almost
terrorists.
like you're treated as if you're dumb if you're religious.
The tide is turning. Honestly, like this is a huge respect to Andrew Tate. Honestly, the tide's turning because he added a lot more respect to religion. Because before, just a few years ago, religion, especially Islam, was almost like widely seen as a bad thing in the Western world. Terrorists, bad people, immigrants, all this stuff. And I've been attacked multiple times. I've been almost stabbed by guys being racist, thinking that I'm like this Muslim terrorist bomber or something.
Being homosexual or being bisexual or being anything other than heterosexual is a sin, but Allah creates you like that.
No, he doesn't. I'm not a Muslim, but I know the Abrahamic faith, and I know that. Yeah, I feel weird putting praise to Islam like this, but I know he doesn't make you freaking gay. Jesus doesn't make you gay. God doesn't make you gay. You turned out that way because you were making an abomination, you dummy. Incorrect. Bro made an anti-left like Christian edit, but for Muslims. What's this? Who created a law? I'm siding with the Muslims now. Screw it. Then who created the Big Bang? Who created your little explosions? Who created your meteors? I know I tell this taking back the Holy Land and going against these Muslim arguments, but who created your crappy stuff? Who created those? Who created those? Who created your atheist arguments? I hate all of you. No, you have no explanation for that, do you? Who created it? If there was nothing, then how come there was a fireball to explode and make everything, you dumb frick?
Any homosexual, forget about you, if any homosexual went to Nigeria or any other country where homosexuality is banned, should they or should they not be allowed to enact their homosexuality?
Well, I think it depends on them, if they choose to or not.
Okay, so what you're saying here is...
So you're against the law?
For homosexuals, you're saying they have a decision to make, whether they want to or they don't want to.
That's right.
Whereas for
Because it's
people
consensual.
Ew. How about we ban all gays? Okay.
I'm asking you a question. Is Jesus God?
Is Jesus God? Yes, absolutely.
Did Mary look after him as a baby?
Did Mary look after him?
Did Mary look after God?
Did Mary look after God? No, God created mankind.
He came in a limited form. Is it that hard to understand? Are you this retarded? Do you have such low IQ that we have to... You really think you would understand God in his full unlimited form? Do you believe there's an infinite God and we would understand him? Us little simple human-minded, our brains, our little simple human minds would understand God, the infinite, the one who's above all? You're going against your own arguments by saying that there's a huge big creator that is more complex than we can understand. Would he not come in a limited form, you dumb frick? Would he not come in a limited form? You're going against your own religion with this argument.
Oh, so Jesus ain't God.
So he is God.
How could Jesus be God?
He's God in a limited form. He is God. Because according to your religion, we can now understand God fully because he's infinite and complex. So if he's infinite and complex, and we cannot understand him, would it not make sense that he comes in a limited form to make us understand everything? Muslims are more brain dead than the pagans. Well, I mean, they're still come from pagans, though. Come on, let's hear more copes.
We believe in one God worthy of worship. Christians believe that there are three persons of God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. If you
they're all God, though.
Look at the data, why people convert to Islam. This is one of the most oft-repeated, oft-cited reasons why people do so. And then, of course, there are these other things, the social norms, the moral code. There are the, very clear hudud. Hudud means boundaries that Allah, God, has set for us, which people find.
You think we don't have those same boundaries? Do you think we don't have the sin? We're part of the Abrahamic religions. As you, we have the same boundaries. What? You think people are converting because no more structure and boundaries? No. Have you ever set foot in a church? Have you never seen the news of Catholics excommunicating people for supporting abortion and for going and sinning and acting like they're Christians and then sinning in private and like also publicly endorsing abortions? Have you not seen that? We have structure too. Just because there's a couple progressive Christians, because they're not actual Christians, doesn't mean anything. There's a ton. There's the same amount of progressive sheiks, and we have millions more people. That means it's worse in your religion. You have less structure. You have more progressives. You have more fakies in your religion. And you're saying we're the bad ones? No.
Attractive and appealing because it gives them a sense of purpose. And of course, purpose.
The only thing you need to do to find progressive Muslims is watch that Jubilee video.
Itself is something which Islam aims to give. We believe in one.
Well, your Islam is all a fraud. The reasons you gave aren't actual reasons because they exist in your religion as well. Are you saying that those progressive Muslims are real Muslims? Exactly. So don't call those progressive Christians real Christians. No. Get out of here.
We will start with Brother Muhammad Hijab giving us his 20-minute opening statement.
Huh.
You know, the Quran tells us, تعالوا إلى كلمة سواء.
Oh my goodness. Hmm. Okay.
بيننا وبينكم ألا نعبد إلا الله. The first thing we're asked to do when we're engaging with Christian people is to come to common terms, that we worship none but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's something we really need to think about. We need to think about the common grounds that we have with Christians. There's lots in common.
We have no common grounds. Why should we be friends with our enemies? Explain that to me. You think that we should find common ground with each other when we believe quite exactly the opposite things? What? Why should we find common ground with you? Why should we find common ground with you? When you guys are psyoping people into going away from Christ, when you are constantly attacking our side, and then as soon as we fight back, as soon as people like Zerka pop up and they fight back hard and masculine against you like the Christians used to be, and like we used to do in these crusades, then you get mad at us. Well, and you say that we're not real Christians. Why should we find common ground with you when you are our enemy? No, we're not finding common ground with you. What? Because you hold opinions that are similar to ours? Because you're on the right and stuff, and because you're against LGBT like us? No. You're also still worshiping demons in Saturn. I don't want common ground with you. No, I want to destroy your religion.
We believe in Jesus Christ. We believe in the Messiah.
You didn't believe in Jesus Christ until it was proven to be a historical fact. You guys didn't believe in Jesus Christ when it was established to be a historical fact, and even atheists believed it. And then later people were like, "Oh yeah, this really shows that your religion is full of bullcrap, doesn't it?" And then you guys changed your own book to mean that. Before you denied everything about Jesus Christ, and now you accept that he was there, but he was a prophet, right? Yeah, he existed as a historical figure, and he was one of our prophets. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. He was God in a limited form to come to explain the complex things to us because we cannot fully understand them.
We believe in him.
This
we
is
love
disgusting.
the Messiah. We believe Jesus. We believe that he was born from the Virgin Mary. There's a whole chapter in the Quran dedicated.
Yes, there was a chapter added after you guys had to accept that you were blatantly wrong about it. But how come your book was consistently wrong? You talk about consistency and us changing verses, but you literally added to the verse to add Jesus in there because it was a contradiction, because you all disbelieved it.
To her. But of course, the elephant in the room, or the difference of opinion, is in the fact that we as Muslims do not believe that Jesus was divine, or that the Holy Spirit.
Then you deny everything about him and you disrespect him. You think adding him as a prophet means that you respect him? No, it friggin' doesn't. No, it doesn't. You are disrespecting him.
Spirit is divine. Today's discussion, ladies and gentlemen, is about Tawheed and Trinity. Tawheed is monotheism, to believe and worship in one God. The Quran says, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدْ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدْ. That say he is Allah, one and only, the eternally besought of all, the sovereign. The Trinity is defined by the Athanasius Creed in 500 AD, Athanasian Creed, as one divine person, one divine being, divided into three divided persons: the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. The Father is God, the Son is God, the Holy Spirit is God.
You're gonna laugh at us, huh? Huh?
He says that
this makes you God, laughing face. I'm gonna freaking destroy you, Muhammad.
Prophet, they played, they tried to get his hair and the spit and these things. Okay, well, if you think spitting on someone makes you a god, well, that's what it implies, then I wonder why you look at every other verse of the Bible as implying that Jesus was God, because for you, a spit, that's making me a god now. I mean, don't embarrass yourself in front of me. He says that the Prophet, they played, they tried to get his hair and the spit and these things. Okay, well, if you think spit...
Nobody said the spitting on someone makes you God, you retard. It makes him God because he is of God, because he is the Son of God, come down in limited form to explain to our dumb human brains. Where do you get these retard arguments? What is the context of this? I know this debate is going to be full of Muslim copes. I ain't watching this. Really? You're going to say that this is an argument? No, this is just a Muslim cult making up weird, random, absurd arguments. This is no argument, bro. Oh, we should watch the stream. It's a really good stream.
People don't know this, but in Islam, God is not understood to love everyone. Over and over in the Quran, we read that Allah does not love the non-believer or the non-Muslim. Allah does not love the sinner. In fact, nowhere in the Quran does it say that Allah loves those that don't love Him. And so, of course, if God doesn't love those considered to be the enemies of Allah, then it makes sense as to why so many Muslims don't either. And this is why we always see such an abnormally large amount of comments like those in the video that Michaela shared. Those who are celebrating the attempted murder of Rushdie believe that Islam teaches them to attack their enemies and to wish death and punishment on them. But in Christianity, we're told that God is love. Allah doesn't love his enemies, but in Christianity, God not only loves his enemies, he also showed it by coming into our world and becoming a sacrifice for his enemies. At the heart of Christianity, we see Jesus praying for his enemies as they were killing him, and we learn that God loved us even while we were his enemies.
There's a whole difference there. Is that even love? You ain't got that unconditional love of Jesus Christ. What you talking about, Muslims? Well, you want to be conditionally loved, really? You want to be conditionally loved? That's retarded. You really want to have zero love? That's ain't even love. That's half love. What you talking about? No, ain't no love like Jesus' love. Get out of here.
There is an alien gene in the human.
Bruh. Oh my goodness. Let's watch this crap.
I've read all your books, and I even read some of your peer-reviewed work, because when I was going to speak to you, then I said, you know what, I'm going to do my homework. Yeah. So I read everything. One of the things that you said one time in The Maps of Meaning, you started off...
Really? Are you really going to do the Piers Morgan crap where you say, one time you said this, so you are a bad person and you must apologize?
The book by saying, when you were a young lad, I don't know how young you were, you said that you found the doctrines of Christianity incomprehensible and absurd, yeah?
And why are you bringing this up now? You're just trying to slander him. Why are you bringing it up now? You're trying to say that he's bad back then just because he had a different opinion than now? Muslims have so low IQ that they cannot defend their demonic faith, that they have to go back on their word and try to slander people on their show. Really? This is what you're doing? This is the behavior that you condone? All Muslims condone this behavior, and then they say, we need to find common ground and be nice to each other. You ain't being nice. You ain't being nice. And you know it. And then you get mad when we go hard on you just as hard as you go on us. Really?
You also said that you found you had some kind of issue with Christianity because of the Genesis narrative and how incongruent it was with scientific narratives. You went to a pastor, you said, or a church cleric or something, and then you left the church. Now, I've got a question. Do you still have the same position, or have you changed your position?
Well, I've changed my position a lot. I was only 13 then, you know, and I was
So this guy literally bring up a quote from when this dude was 13 and he's using it as an argument against Christianity? Really? I swear, even the best of the best of the best Muslim debater still has low IQ, bullcrap arguments.
Up in the battle, insofar it was manifested in me when I was 13, I was caught in the battle between Enlightenment rationality and traditional narrative belief. I had no idea how to reconcile those two things.
Do you feel like you can do that now?
I'm doing my best to reconcile.
So let me be
yes,
more
and I think, well, I certainly can do it a lot more.
Let him speak.
Than I did when I was 13.
Let me give you an example, right? This point, when you were 13, I think you were thinking straight. I'll be sorry to be very straight.
No, he wasn't thinking straight. He's years old. You really think that 13-year-old him has more rationale than what, 50, 40, 60-year-old him? These Muslims actually are stupid. You have to be stupid to believe in this. Because he's absolutely just bringing up weird stuff from the past and saying, 13-year-old you is smarter than now you since you've grown after the past 30, 40 years. How does that make any coherent sense? Christ on top.
It's hard to believe that someone is disagreeable with you as you would manage that.
Because someone with an IQ of 180 or whatever you have, someone of your intelligence. When you were 13, you probably had an IQ of, I don't know, 120 or something, yeah? So you were operating like my friend over here, Ali Dawa, so it's on his level, at the age of 13. But what I was going to say was that, the reason why I think he was... Because look at the Trinity, for example. Look at the schisms. Now, this goes to your specialism.
Look at your Muslims. Let's look at some of your terrible things. Huh? There's way more contradictions in Islam than there is in Christianity. And the arguments they bring up are bullcrap. You cannot ever believe in a Trinity, but you can believe that there's an infinite God out there that has the capabilities to create everything, literally everything intelligently, even the very things that stop in our bodies are entirely complex. We will never figure it out. You can believe in one miracle but not the other? Oh my goodness, you are so contradictory. And your book has way more contradictions than ours. You add to your book. We don't add to ours. You add to your book. You say, we're consistent, and then you change the verses from when you said, Jesus never existed as human, but okay, now he exists as a human and he was a prophet. You changed that. We didn't change crap. You have more contradictions. Shut up.
The idea of three all-powerful entities, that Jesus is all-powerful, that the Father is all-powerful, the Son is all-powerful, and the Holy Spirit is all-powerful, but there's not three all-powerfuls, there's one all-powerful. You have one ultimately willing being, which is a person, which is Jesus, and then another person, which is ultimately willing, which is the Son. The Quran says about this, it says, مَا اتَّخَذَ اللَّهُ مِنْ وَلَدٍ وَمَا كَانَ مَعَهُ مِنْ إِلَهٍ إِذًا لَذَهَبَ كُلُّ إِلَهٍ بِمَا خَلَقَ وَلَعَلَ بَعْضُهُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ. In chapter 23, verse number 91, it says that Allah has not taken any son, and he did not have any creator with him. Had that been the case, they would have stripped one another for what they would have competed and tried to outstrip one another for power.
No, because that's not how the Trinity works. And again, just because your book says something doesn't mean it's true. And again, you really think that there can be an infinite God that is extremely complex and we can understand, but he wouldn't have a son that he sends down, that the Trinity doesn't make sense to you somehow, but infinite God with all these creational methods can. And he somehow cannot send someone that's in a limited form that comes down, and now he's forever in a limited form, and he comes down to explain to us this. This doesn't make sense to your infinite God and your view of the infinite God. Get out of here. This is stupid. How can you believe one but not the other? How can you believe in one miracle but not the other? It's just weird. That's what Muslims are. They're just weirdos. They are.
Meaning this idea of three all-powerful persons is unintelligible to say the least. The idea that Jesus Christ
unintelligible to say the least. How is it unintelligible? An infinite God is comprehensible and intelligible? No, it's not. No, it's not. What? None of them can be explained. You can't say, oh, my infinite God can be explained, but the Trinity and Jesus Christ, no. Your whole religion is full of low IQ bastards that cannot understand miracles. Yes, it's a miracle. You can't logically explain it. And you're saying that, oh, it's unintelligible that there's a Trinity, but it's intelligible that there's an infinite being out there that created everything? Are you crapping me? No, that doesn't make sense either. It's called faith for a reason. And you really think you got an own on Christianity with this? This guy and his retarded arguments? I'm done with it.
There's two natures. I know that there are schisms and there's difference of opinion among Christians. But the fact that you have this human nature where Jesus is walking and he sees the tree and he can't eat from the tree. He doesn't know that the tree is in season or not. Or that he doesn't know when the...
It came in a limited form to explain to our dumb, stupid human brains. This guy is so cocky, he thinks that he would understand God. Oh, he's so smart that he thinks he can understand God. That's why nerds always die atheists and go to hell. Because they think they're so good, they think they're so cocky. But then once they meet God, they go to hell. You know why? Because, no, it's not true. No, your cocky not saying true. You are so smart that you're stupid.
Hour is, or whatever it may be. The Quran says it very clearly. كَانَا يَأْكُلَانِ الطَّعَامِ. Him and his mum used to eat food. This proposition that they're limited and unlimited at the same time is it's a contradiction.
Then how is there not a contradiction of there being an infinite God? Explain to me your infinite Allah God that you praise so much. What? No, it's not a contradiction. It's him sending down in unlimited form to explain to us what God is like and show us a little glimpse, because our small human brains cannot understand. And if you look back then at the time period, the people of his time still barely understood him. You really think if he came as God, you would understand him? No, you wouldn't. You may think you're smart, but compared to God, you're a pea brain. Compared to God, you are stupid. You're irrational. You're a monkey. Really? Like the atheists want you to believe. You really think that? No. You think... Actually, this is a contradiction. You think that if God came down in his infinite form before he raptures everybody, before all that you would understand crap? You think that if he came down, that you would understand it? If he came down, then you would understand this infinite complex God? That's a contradiction if you want to talk contradictions. No, that's stupid.
It's an affront to logic. This will cause...
Says the Muslim? Your religion is an affront to everything, including logic.
You cognitive dissonance. Because if you want to be a rational actor, and you want to be...
See, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a rational actor.
But you do when you do your scientific experiments.
That's true.
So why'd you separate the two things?
Really? Or don't you want to be a rational actor? No, you don't, because you want to strawman our religion. We're calling yours so great. We're also having a ton of contradictions within yours and acting like a cocky little bastard. What are you talking about? This is stupid.
Because rationality should be subordinated to something above it. And I'm trying to subordinate myself to that.
The Bible is a root of wisdom, inspiration.
Okay, skip the ad, buddy. He joins Daily Wire one day and then the next it's just ads, really.
All 6,000 plus prayers and meditations.
And so my reaction to what you're saying is that this isn't an insult.
Yeah,
I'm telling you what my reaction is.
Please say
it's not even a criticism.
Of course.
I find that discussion, as soon as it started, I found that less interesting than what we were doing before. It was harder for me to focus on. And I think the reason for that is that it transforms to some, and I'm not saying this isn't necessary at sometimes, but it transforms the transcendent into something like an intellectual and propositional discussion. And so in some sense, we're debating perhaps not the fine points of theology, because they're more like the blunt points of theology.
I understand.
But there's something about that that isn't what I want to do with you.
Yes.
You know, and it isn't that it's not necessary. So let me flip it around.
Right.
Yes. And then some Muslims will be like, "Oh, he couldn't answer it. He flipped it." No, he basically said, "I'm not participating in low IQ arguments. I know you're smarter than this. I know, I want to have a real conversation and not talk about these stupid little bimbo arguments that you Muslims bring up. I want to have a real conversation about Islam versus Christianity." But they won't have that because they'll lose every single freaking time. And whenever they do lose, people make highlight videos saying Islamophobe gets destroyed and leaves out the context, like they did with Zerka.
Degree. So one of the things I'm very curious about is, obviously, the figure of Christ is contentious.
Yes.
And so the Jews don't know what to make of Christ in some fundamental sense, because he seems like a continuation of the prophetic tradition in some real sense. Plus he was Jewish, so that makes things complicated. And then, of course, the Christians put the figure of Christ as central in some real sense, but that begs the question of the relationship between Christ and God. And then in the Muslim community, Christ is also a central figure. And so I'm curious about that. And we could say we have doctrinal differences about what constitutes that centrality. It's like, fair enough. And I would also not say that I understand what that centrality means. So one of the ways I would understand that, let's say, is that in the Western tradition, and I don't know to what degree this is true in the Muslim tradition, one of the attributes of what Christ is psychologically is the logos. And so if we're engaged in dialogue, which is dual logos, then we're embodying the spirit of something like mutual enlightenment. And that's then the presence of that spirit in the genuine confines of temporal reality, right? It's something like the infinite descending to the finite to illuminate us. And to the degree that we can have a dialogue in good faith, which is also a religious notion, then we can engage in that process of dialogos, and that transforms and redeems us. And then when I say, well, do I believe that? I say, well, it isn't just that I believe it as a proposition. It's that I can tell when it's happening. And so can you, I think. It's like, you're going to see that this conversation will ebb and flow, and some of the time it's going to grip you. You think, we're at the heart of the matter, and sometimes your attention's going to wander. Your attention's going to wander when we're off the path. And so I would say that to the degree that you and I are communicating, this is a religious way of thinking about it, is that we're doing our best to embody the spirit of the Logos. And if that's working, then we're making progress. And I know that in the Western tradition, that's part of what has been conceptualized as the fundamental attribute of the figure of Christ. And I know that Christ is central in the Muslim tradition. And so one of the things I would want to know is not how we...
He's not central in Muslim tradition. He's central after they were destroyed by all the Christians and atheists. They didn't add him in till they had to prove that their faith was somehow logical, when the whole thing of their faith contradicts history. So is history true? Is it all conspiracy? No, these Muslims are the false ones. If Jordan Peterson had a deeper knowledge of this, then he could destroy this Muslim. But he doesn't. He doesn't. He also probably doesn't want to piss off his Muslim followers, let's be honest.
Differ doctrinally, because I don't even think I'm qualified to debate you on that case.
We've got the guy here.
Well, Jonathan might have some things to say, but what I would like to know instead is, why do you believe that the figure of Christ is central in some sense, or maybe I've got that wrong, although I don't think so. Why do you think the figure of Christ is central both to the Muslim faith and the Christian faith? And
because they have to. If they don't acknowledge his existence and then overcompensate by putting them in their prophets, then they'll get obliterated by everyone. Why else? Why did they add to their verses? Because they had to. We're taking back the Holy Land, boys. Let's freaking go.
What do you think that says about what we share in common? Because I really don't understand that. It's a mystery to me.
Okay, so Jesus Christ, if secular historians will look at him and differ on his existence or not. The majority, to be fair, do believe he existed, right?
Which is why you guys had to change your book, your consistent book. No, it's not consistent because you changed it a ton of times.
Even secular historians, atheists and agnostics and whatever it may be, right?
It's the simplest explanation.
Yeah, it's the simple, of course, yeah? So I believe that, first of all, Jesus Christ